The price for his knowledge is already being counted. The cold disappointment of a master curdles into something far more dangerous. Now the world he knows begins to fracture from within. Tusk, a disciple of Cheon Mi-Ryeo. The Earth Demon was a bit disappointed with Seol-Hwi. His attacks weren't as strong as the Earth Demon thought it would be. The execution wasn't efficient. It had power, but it just couldn't meet his expectations. At least he knew something. The cold air spread a thin rime across the ground, and he was momentarily blinded by a flurry of ice blades. However, everything was washed away by a quick stomp from Hyukgu. "Fourth disciple," Hyukgu said, "I don't understand why you'd want to take this weak basta." The Earth Demon was troubled by Hyukgu's words. He knew Seol-Hwi's skills weren't bad. That's why he brought the squad leader to perform the test instead of the usual normal squad member. How skilled is he, really? The Earth Demon waited patiently, but he didn't expect much. Hyukgu is the best, after all. Pushing him back a step or two would be a feat in itself. Seol-Hwi is moving. The Earth Demon watched carefully, but Seol-Hwi seemed to be repeating his actions. His ordinary attack got blocked the same way. Wait, his eyes widened. Seol-Hwi wasn't repeating. This time he was using demonic energy. A bright flame bloomed on the tip of his sword, tracing a bright arc towards Hyukgu. The Earth Demon realized that the flame had been created by Seol-Hwi's fiery, bare-handed demonic martial arts. Cheeky! Just as Hyukgu was about to move, Seol-Hwi gave the Earth Demon an even bigger surprise. His footsteps changed. Ghost walking. One of the 4 techniques of the 4 Peaks demonic martial arts, it allowed you to close in on your opponent further and faster. Even while he was under attack, Seol-Hwi acted skillfully. And the destroying air ring, wind curled around Seol-Hwi's sword in several tiers of rings. A groan slipped out of the Earth Demon's lips. Seol-Hwi's attack was a secret he could only learn by epiphany, something which could never be imitated. The Wind God Sword. All eyes were on the tip of Seol-Hwi's sword. A sword wind formed as he raised his sword, but it began to oscillate and rapidly swelled to enormous size. It even flickered with lightning. The 4 Peaks demonic martial arts, Wind Sword, embraced the power of lightning, creating a massive storm that swept over Hyukgu. The squad leader was caught in the thunderstorm and pushed back into the Earth Demon's home. The storm didn't stop until it had smashed the columns. Hyukgu was left with his hair in shambles and his clothes in tatters. The shocked expression in his eyes made it obvious that he couldn't understand how he'd taken so much damage. The AI, however, thought differently. As expected, I can't beat that jerk with this body. He should have been happy just to push Hyukgu back, but this guy was complaining. Then Seol-Hwi realized how much pain he was in. Why, you crazy bastard. Heavenly blood point, lower body blood points, abdomen blood points, everything. To fight at this level, the AI must have unlocked his body's latent points. Ah, you fucking bastard. I almost got killed. Seol-Hwi finally regained control of his body after releasing 7 blood points. That was pretty good. Hyukgu's expression had brightened. It wasn't a real fight in the first place, so there was no problem with being cheerful. I apologize. Can we do this again? Hyukgu shook his head. There's no need for that. I figured out your skills. Yes. Huh. Hyukgu's expression darkened. It seemed like Seol-Hwi still had some tricks up his sleeves. Don't get ahead of yourself. Continue. The Earth Demon gave Seol-Hwi a curious look. Show me everything. Use every martial art you know. Thank you. Seol-Hwi raised his sword again to Hyukgu's obvious dissatisfaction. HNGH. Hyukgu's expression hardened. Seol-Hwi certainly had excellent martial arts and refined technique, and just using the 4 Peaks demonic martial arts was commendable in its own right. But that was it. Hyukgu doubted Seol-Hwi's next attempt would end any differently. However, he couldn't disobey the 4th disciple, so he just nodded. Come, this is the last time. Let's do a simulation this time. Seol-Hwi knew that he, like the AI, wouldn't be able to hurt Hyukgu no matter how hard he tried. This was a great chance to test his new combat styles, though. After all, he didn't get many chances to fight where his life was not on the line. Combat type, 3rd class sword technique, is added as default. Right arrow white light demonic martial arts, right arrow white palm demonic martial arts, right arrow fiery, bare-handed demonic martial arts, right arrow peak, flourishing demonic martial arts, right arrow, 4 Peaks demonic martial arts, right arrow demonic heavenly sword, right arrow black demon 7 sword. 7 total, 32 total, 14 total, 5 total, is it done? When the notification stopped, Seol-Hwi stayed still. If he attacked before it was done, the attempt would end the same way his first had. Are you going to attack? Hyukgu looked irritated. Illusionary human figures appeared before his eyes. They were darker than the shadows that taught him martial arts. A shadow came out of his body and sprinted towards Hyukgu. Another shadow came from Hyukgu's body and immediately disappeared. After that, dozens of shadows came out of Seol-Hwi, each rushing in different directions. However, there was only one shadow for Hyukgu. With a simple motion, every Seol-Hwi shadow was eliminated at once. Hundreds, countless, shadows were generated to attack Hyukgu. One shadow swung recklessly, one shadow threw up sand from the floor. One shadow threw his sword. They seemed to be trying everything Seol-Hwi could do. Not one of them touched Hyukgu. Every single one was destroyed, stomped, or thrown away. But just when he thought it was over, one shadow sliced Hyukgu's waist. Every other shadow disappeared, leaving this one shadow, this one successful attack. Each movement was explained in detail. In simulation, time didn't stop like it did in turn-based. Seol-Hwi made the first move, running in and stabbing at Hyukgu's upper body and center. Naturally, he was blocked. Next, he danced to the right and swung at Hyukgu's lower body. Again, it was blocked. Then he tried the diagonal attack. As Seol-Hwi went through the 5 motions, Hyukgu blocked each attack, but his expression began to twist. It felt like he was being played somehow. After blocking the last attack, Hyukgu struck at Seol-Hwi's thighs. Seol-Hwi managed to avoid the attack, surprising himself. After a closer look, Seol-Hwi realized that he hadn't dodged it. Hyukgu had counterattacked 5 times and then simply retreated. Small changes. Seol-Hwi used the white light demonic martial arts, 6th form. He came in, swinging at Hyukgu's waist, and came to a stop 3 steps behind the squad leader. There was a long moment of silence. Seol-Hwi looked at his sword and realized there was blood on it. The simulation. It was almost effortless, where even the AI had failed. Hyukgu stared at his waist blankly. He reached down to his waist and then brought his hand back up to his eyes. He stared at it, shocked. Seol-Hwi had cut him. You brat! It wasn't even some fast-moving attack. Seol-Hwi used boring, ordinary stabs and slashes. What had done Hyukgu in was carelessness. Hyukgu's eyes grew bloodshot and his sword raged with destructive energy. Ah, wait! Seol-Hwi waved his hands, but Hyukgu had no intention of stopping. A simulation shadow arose, but impossible, already used. The simulation seemed to give up. Seol-Hwi was out of options. It took him a moment to realize that Hyukgu hadn't killed him. The 4th disciple had blocked his strike, an effort that caved in the ground around them and sent Seol-Hwi trembling like a reed in the wind. Enough! Hyukgu came to his senses and hastily backed away, bowing. Forgive me. No, even I could see that Seol-Hwi was provoking you. Seol-Hwi stared at the Earth Demon, shocked. Hyukgu was intimidating, but the Earth Demon stopping him was even more startling. What kind of combat power does he have? His skills weren't really that high, not much higher than Hyukgu, but he stopped the squad leader's strike easily. Either one was unimaginably strong. Seol-Hwi was beginning to understand what infinity meant. Is this what it means to be strong? Based on his skills, Seol-Hwi can be a vice leader, but he will need time to adapt to the squad. The Earth Demon closed his eyes. Why not assign him a trainer and then appoint him to vice leader? The squad leader softened. I agree. Wait. The Earth Demon looked at Seol-Hwi. You will be appointed as vice leader. Thank you. And then he passed out. He spent the next 3 days eating and sleeping. Every morning, a healer would come to check on his condition, and a young man, a servant or helper of some sort, would deliver his food. On the 4th day, his body was feeling lighter as he recovered. Status: Seol-Hwi Vice Leader of the Hidden Truth Squad. Health: 110,000/110,000 internal energy. 110,000/110,000 combat power. 400,000 on the 5th day, he was able to get out of bed. He devoted his time to studying combat and cultivation and the AI. The change in swordsmanship I saw, the combat power. Seol-Hwi couldn't get the memory of the AI fighting out of his head. It was more than inspiring, especially since the AI didn't even use all of the techniques Seol-Hwi had. You hide in the land between the dead and just watch. You know what you really need right now. It wasn't something he could understand right then. You need greed, mad, desperate greed. Maybe it would be different if he died in a better place or had better martial arts. But now, it felt like a once-in-a-lifetime chance. He didn't just want to get strong. Seol-Hwi wanted more. Combat power and martial arts aren't important. Seol-Hwi examined himself in the mirror. Coins, 4 lives. Paradoxically, his lives had increased, but his desire to live had decreased. With so many lives, he felt like he could take risks. With 1 life, he had to make the best of what he had. His mental strength had weakened. He said 3 years. After 3 years of being a normal member, the Earth Demon had told him he'd be made vice leader. Before that, I'll work with the AI and do well, even in areas no one is paying attention to. He clenched his fists and looked down at the short sword lying at his side. But Seol-Hwi looked around. He could feel something outside. To the right of the bed was a window. To the left was a mirror and a table. On the wall opposite to the window was a small table with a jade box under it, and there was a cupboard by the door. Just as he pushed himself out of bed, a window popped up. Year 95 of the Heavenly Calendar, Chapter 2-1, 3 choices from the Earth Demon. Year 95 of the Heavenly Calendar, Chapter 2-15. Becoming a core warrior, the final opponent after failing the martial arts island. Year 95 of the Heavenly Calendar, Chapter 2-20. Become a core warrior, the last part. Usually the save prompt appeared when he resolved some sort of situation. It was impossible to save otherwise. Also, if he replaced one, would it permanently disappear? He chose the second slot. Unlike the first and third, the second save wasn't important. It works. Year 95 of the Heavenly Calendar, Chapter 2-1, 3 choices from the Earth Demon. Year 95 of the Heavenly Calendar, Chapter 3-1. Became a core warrior, 3 years of rapid growth, bonus story. Year 95 of the Heavenly Calendar, Chapter 2-20, become a core warrior, the last part. 3 years of rapid growth. It seemed this was a golden opportunity to grow his skills. Should I head out? After spending a few days in bed, his body ached. Seol-Hwi wanted to clean up and practice. So he got up and went over to the door, but then he stopped again. Learn martial arts, accept a mission, warrior training, walk around. What is this? This window was both unexpected and too specific. He couldn't just ignore it either. Time had stopped. The 9th month of the 95th year. That sounded about right. And he had 3 years. Seol-Hwi went back to examining his options. Learn martial arts. That was fairly self-explanatory. Since he joined a new squad, he might be able to learn something brand new. Accept a mission. Maybe there'd be a mission on the level of killing Shin Burrent or similar. The rewards would be warrior training. What does this mean? It said training, but that didn't seem quite right. If it was, it would be like the martial arts option. So this wouldn't be the sort of training you did in one place, but practicing something where he would have to move around. Walk around. It looked so trivial. Did it hold some secret? If he compared it to the other options, it surely couldn't be so insignificant. Seol-Hwi ended up going back to the first option. Hidden Truth Squad's iconic demonic martial arts. Theory of tracking technique. Understanding blood points. Guidance of management. Seol-Hwi's eyes sparkled. If I learn all of this. He didn't know exactly what they were, but he had the feeling something great would happen. He'd be much stronger than before. Also, back he wasn't committed to learning martial arts yet. Learn martial arts, accept a mission, warrior training. Walk around first. I'll look at all of them. He selected the second choice. Earth Demon, 4th disciple of the Heavenly Demon, Hyukgu, leader of Hidden Truth Squad. Jiakpa, Hidden Truth Squad head instructor. Doctor who treated Seol-Hwi. Servant who brought meals. That was not an easy choice. Learn martial arts, accept a mission, warrior training, walk around. The third choice this time. Cheonghae, Gamsuk, Sashin outside. That was fun. 2 locations were outside the sect. The other was in Gyeongju. He went back to look at walk around. The 4th disciple's house, garden, squad leader's dorm. Well, now I get it. He wound up choosing learn martial arts like he was planning to do from the start. Hidden Truth Squad's iconic demonic martial arts, theory of tracking technique, understanding blood points. Guidance of management. Seol-Hwi chose the iconic martial arts. He had to, in order to become a true member of the squad. As soon as he made his choice, the door opened as if someone had been waiting for him to finish. Are you Seol-Hwi? Yes, I am Jiakpa, the skinny middle-aged man told him. I am the head of training and education here. Starting today, you will learn our iconic martial arts. His face was flushed pink. Follow me. As he left, Seol-Hwi took a peek around, checking to see if anyone else was there. What are you doing? Seol-Hwi followed Jiokpa out. How can he learn it all on the first day? I can't believe it. How can you understand it so quickly? Are you saying you have the ability to imitate swordsmanship? Imitation right arrow basic. Seol-Hwi blinked and found himself in the hallroom. A month's worth of training flooded into his head. Health increased by 10,000. Internal energy increased by 10,000. Combat power increased by 20,000. Status: Seol-Hwi Vice Leader of the Hidden Truth Squad. Health: 120,000. Up arrow 10,000. / 120,000 internal energy. 120,000. Up arrow 10,000. / 120,000 combat power. 420,000. Up arrow 20,000. / 420,000. His abilities went up, and he got a new martial art. Martial arts, imitation, intermediate, basic. New, basic. This was no dream. He'd legitimately spent a month learning martial arts with Jiokpa. Learn martial arts, accept a mission, warrior training. Walk around 2/36 instead of 1/36, 10th month instead of 9th month. A month had passed in the blink of an eye. He remembered everything from the structure of the Black Tortoise Hall to the officers and what units they led. Everything Jiokpa had taught him, and especially his first formal education in martial arts. It was so much different from learning them on his own. Unified Light 1 demonic martial arts is similar to other martial arts in that the accumulated energy is burned away from the body, but in fact, it's based on life. More correctly, you can think of this as a martial art which taps into the deepest energies of the Danshin. Unified refers to the harmony of the 5 elements. Simply put, it had a similar process and similar results, but the fundamental workings were different. This was good. If he used his martial arts right, he'd be able to distinguish himself from the masses. It took another month to learn the unified elimination martial arts to the intermediate level. It seemed the training was even more effective than before. Health increased by 20,000. Internal energy increased by 20,000. Combat power increased by 30,000. Status: Seol-Hwi Vice Leader of the Hidden Truth Squad. Health: 140,000. Up arrow 20,000. / 140,000 internal energy. 140,000. Up arrow 20,000. / 140,000 combat power. 450,000. Up arrow 30,000. / 450,000. Wow. A month had passed, and somehow every moment was crystal clear. What are you doing? His instructor's face had changed constantly. The first month, he went from surprised to shocked. During the second month, he occasionally smiled or his eyes would twitch. On the last day, he pulled Seol-Hwi to the side and told him, "Starting from tomorrow, we will learn the course. My body seems to be in good condition." An entire 2 months of training, and he felt better than ever. The unified light demonic martial arts, a light martial art unlike his previous demonic martial arts, had a cultivation method that restored his body. Nothing to worry about. I'm still in the training period. Hidden Truth Squad's iconic demonic martial arts time to learn the martial art in full. In the mornings, he had theory and discussion. In the afternoon, he trained. However, everything Jiokpa taught Seol-Hwi, he soaked up like a cotton ball in water. No study necessary. Some days, he spent the entire day training. Time passed quickly. Naturally, Seol-Hwi thought that the training would stop at the end of the month, but when time stopped, he wasn't in the usual place. By sorting through the memories pouring into his head, it was easy to find the reason. 3 people. They'd been following him since he left the training hall. Time stopped as soon as he felt their energy, as it always did when something related to martial arts happened. "You're only coming out now?" 3 people appeared over the wall wearing black robes and with covered faces. "You might not be an idiot, heh. The biggest of the 3 seemed to be grinning. "Why did you follow me? We made a bet. We're gonna test who can use our new skills the best. You got picked as the target." Seol-Hwi realized that these people had been sent to monitor him, but had decided to pick a fight. That was why he could feel their energy. "Hey, did we get the wrong guy? He looks like I could knock him down with 1 hit. The skinny man, Gong-Gwai, the system told him, said. "This is why the squad leader told us not to do this. They're all kids." Their bickering was irritating Seol-Hwi. Status: Guiro, Hidden Truth Squad, 4th year, health. 120,000 internal energy. 90,000 first-rate warrior combat power. 180,000 Guiro was the big one. Status: Gong-Gwai, Hidden Truth Squad, 4th year, health. 90,000 internal energy. 80,000 first-rate warrior combat power. 150,000 Gong Guai was the skinny one. Status, Chenso Hidden Truth Squad 4th year health. 100,000 internal energy. 80,000 first-rate warrior combat power. 160,000 all 4th years. And from the same squad. They either came from the Evil Emperor group or the Evil Snakes group, subsections of the Hidden Truth Squad with distinct roles and duties. The Evil Emperor team was known as their primary fighting power. The nature of their missions demanded only the best in the squad. This is good. The chance to try the unified light demonic martial arts on these unwitting volunteers was lifting his mood. I'll go first. Don't overdo it. I need to have some fun too. Pua, we can bury him and go find someone else. Seol-Hwi waited patiently while they talked amongst themselves and stretched his neck until the one with the big ears approached him. Oh wait, ow! Seol-Hwi closed in immediately and slammed his fist into his face. The man fell to the ground, shocked. I was curious too, Seol-Hwi said while he drew his sword, about how well I learned my martial arts. The men grabbed their swords nervously. Seol-Hwi smiled at them. He didn't need to use a fighting style on them, he just needed to stab and cut. The biggest advantage of the unified light demonic martial arts is its ability to counter attacks. As a bonus, every swing of the sword was faster than the last. I was taught to examine position and posture when I moved my sword. Jiokpa's teachings were very detailed. 2 on the right, 1 on the left. If they attack at the same time, the guy on the left will move to the right. Seol-Hwi thought about using the white palm demonic martial arts, but stopped because he didn't want to end up killing them. Instead, he gathered his thoughts and waited for them to attack. Here they come. Seol-Hwi's eyes glittered as they ran. Their posture, their form, their weapons, all was clear in his eyes. He stepped back and raised his sword, blocking all 3 attacks in a single move. What are you doing? Do your best. The 3 men flinched. They expected Seol-Hwi to die from a single hit, but instead he handily deflected their attacks. Anyone would be shocked. Eventually, Guiro, directly in front of Seol-Hwi, slammed his foot into the ground and launched himself at Seol-Hwi. Gong Guai and Chenso followed on the left and right shortly after. Still, Seol-Hwi didn't move. Once again, he parried every attack at once, then knocked the man on his right onto his butt, smacked another across the face with his sword, and in short order all 3 were on the ground. Seol-Hwi felt ridiculous. Surely there was a reason why they all went down so easily. His movements and reaction speed were beyond what his opponents could handle. He was fully prepared for their attacks and slipped into their weak points, just like the fundamentals of the unified light demonic martial arts taught him. Now I understand the meaning behind the simplest of actions. The AI did some damage to the squad leader but couldn't hurt him because the Hyuku understood the essence of swordsmanship. Minimal movements, not flashy techniques. A commitment to bringing down your opponent with the utmost efficiency. Seol-Hwi's 3 assailants were beginning to stand. Their eyes burned and demonic energy raged from their swords. I can't let them do that. Seol-Hwi ran at them. They saw he was trying to attack them, but none of them had ever seen the footwork of the 4 Peaks demonic martial arts. By the time Seol-Hwi had closed, it was too late for them to use their swords. HNNGH, he hit them in the chest, shoulder, and thigh, and they collapsed like sacks. Seol-Hwi closed his eyes and prepared to end it. Time stopped again. Time resumed, but he found Jiokpa's face in front of him. As of today, all of my teachings are complete. With that, Seol-Hwi was back in the usual room. Health increased by 30,000. Internal energy increased by 30,000. Combat power increased by 50,000. All of his stats had increased dramatically. Status, Seol-Hwi Vice Leader of the Hidden Truth Squad, Health, 170,000, up arrow 30,000, / 170,000 internal energy, 170,000, up arrow 30,000, / 170,000 combat power, 510,000, up arrow 50,000, / 510,000. Learn martial arts, accept a mission, warrior training, walk around. There were a few changes. He'd mastered 1 martial art, so it wasn't available anymore. Theory of tracking technique, understanding blood points, guidance of management, he was done with it, so it hardly mattered. Seol-Hwi decided he'd learn everything he could in 1 year.